Welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
Hello and welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. It's another week. It's end of summer. How things are going?
This is dog days of summer. So House of the Dragon is over. There's no real sports yet. I don't call football preseason sports.
Kids don't have any activity and they still have another week and a half to go with nothing.
Is it okay to call our number 3 son a complete and utter wuss on the show? With him
sure, why?
With him going to the doctor and the doctor basically telling him to suck it up.
He thought he has arthritis because he was in a hockey camp and got a little bit of cramps or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's the thing that he thinks he's growing, and it's just that he's a wuss. It's very much like the Charmaine thing.
I want to tell that it runs in the family, and the hypochondria is well known.
Hypochondria is hypochondria. But
I know somebody that has this tendency of running to the specialist. For
I will go to the specialist.
Everything.
I will go to the specialist.
You're dead. You're like basically everything you have. I'm dead. I'm gonna die.
No. So who skied on 15 stitches?
Yeah. When it's skiing, that's fine. And then
who skied on 15 stitches? Who skied with 3 cracked ribs? You've seen this. You remember that the time.
And then you have the little sniffles and you're dead. So it's fine.
That's different. That's different. I am very much like a hockey player.
He likes going to the doctor. The doctor is like, I work with the pediatrician. I just love him. He asked him, is it red? Is it swollen? Did you not sleep at night because of your pain? He was like, no, I slept at night. He's like, okay, take Advil and goodbye to you. It was like, because he came and said, maybe I have juvenile arthritis. My mom has arthritis. And the doctor was like, nope. But if you really want, I can poke you and take some blood work and let's prove that you don't have juvenile arthritis. So the kid was like, oh no, fine. So smart doctor. I like our pediatrician. He knows what he's doing,
and he knows that.
And coming with the needle immediately makes the kid feel okay. That's the best thing. That's the placebo effect. The opposite way. Like, if you're not feeling great, let's poke you, and it will help you feel great. Yes.
Yeah. And it reminded me the Shorzy first episode of season 3 of 4 to 6. I was asking, Omri, are you 4 to 6?
Out for 4 to 6 weeks. Right?
Out for 4 to 6 weeks, exactly. The Shorzy 4 to 6. This was an awesome thing because this is. I sent his coach to basically make fun of him a little bit, and I think it will probably make him understand that he just didn't skate the whole summer, and now he's feeling all the aches and pains of not skating in the whole summer.
We have a lot of great things happening to us at work.
Yes.
We work on really exciting projects. I'm super excited since I started working at Beyond Identity. I just love it. So many things are coming. We have a first event, customer conference, people coming to New York City mid-September. I'm excited about that because, coming to a company and doing the first, in-person customer prospects, people that work with us, partners event is always super frightening because I can tell you, you're always afraid that nobody will show up. And at the same time, there is such an anticipation of how it's going to be and everybody's going to come together, and we have great speakers with our friends. Sam Carey and some other great people from security and identity that are coming.
Why am I not speaking? I think I'm probably the best speaker in identity. No,
I'm happy to have you.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Maybe because it's going to be obvious.
Nepotism.
Yes, but you can come and speak. Well, you speak. What do you mean?
I always speak.
You speak here. So that's what I'm excited. I'm even more excited about a marketing campaign that I think is more than a marketing campaign.
On the event, this is
on the event.
On the event, the fear that you described about people not showing up. This is a very Israeli thing.
So there is a very, very famous Israeli movie that is about a Holocaust survivor and her daughter that is strange and weird. And
she's raising she's a single mother.
Single mother.
In a time that single mother was not the thing to be. It was like
Holocaust survivor in the 50s
in a kibbutz.
In a kibbutz, and very, very different. And the kid is extremely lonely.
Yes.
And then the mom is organizing a birthday party and invites everyone in the kibbutz to come to the party, and nobody comes.
Yes.
And it's like it has become a saying in Hebrew, like when you're afraid that you'll throw up a party and nobody will come, you say,
Kite Shel Avia.
Kite Shel Avia, it's the summer of Avia. It's basically running an event and this huge fear that you'll be the only one. So I don't know if it exists in culture over here.
I don't know.
Like, is there an equivalent of like the fear of nobody comes to your birthday party?
There was an episode of The Brady Bunch where no one came to Peter's birthday party, and it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's
the
our
most
version of it.
heartbreaking thing in life in general.
Yeah.
Being left alone is like a huge fear, I think, of all of us.
No.
I don't know. It's kind of like this deep dark thing of like nobody wants to come and be with you.
Home Alone used to be the top cup-cursing comedy movie ever. That was
Right,
delightful.
right,
but,
right,
But maybe
right.
not realistic. It was not exactly a documentary.
And not exactly
No.
a documentary, and also not exactly alone. He had burglars. He had he went shopping. There's a whole bunch of interactions.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly alone.
He had fun.
He had fun.
So yeah.
So the event. Now you were saying something else about?
Yeah. We are. Wow, it was such a busy summer. We launched so many products. We launched our secure access platform. Like the company is growing into being a full IAM platform. We can talk why I'm excited about that. We launched at Black Hat 2 weeks ago a product called Reality Check, which basically attests for the authenticity of a person on a Zoom call. Could be used for Slack, could be used for Teams, could be used for everything. Basically fighting deep fake through identity and device trust. We kind of tagging the person with the level of identity authentication to show, yes, Didi is Didi. He just put his biometrics on the device, and we believe that you're talking to Didi and you're not talking to the deep fake Didi that is asking you to route some money or to buy an Amazon gift card.
So basically you're doing now what WebEx had. Like you're allowing Zoom to do now what WebEx did like a year ago.
I don't believe that WebEx has this capability of doing device-bound, hardware-bound authentication, but let's take it offline.
But that's an argument for another time. Maybe we'll bring in Aaron to argue with you.
Excellent, but in general, I think this is where the world is going. It's in application attesting for the authenticity of the person. Like you can think of the same capabilities then being applied for when a developer commit code and attesting that the code has been committed from a certain device with a certain posture, from a certain identity, and that's a way to potentially know if you have code that is coming from a foreign place and might be that somebody introduces a supply chain issue for your code. So it's the same idea, right? And I think you've been thinking a lot about how identity can solve those problems.
Yes. So actually, this is an interesting thing because you mentioned about the contribution of code and attestation. So there's something that I think is missing in our industry, which is the bi-directional attestation. So let's say I'm on a call with you.
Yep.
If I can ask you to say, hey, can I trigger a verification, a bidirectional verification? This would be very, very, very powerful because the challenge option the in-time challenge option with a strong biometric attestation, I think this is a very powerful thing.
Yep. I mean, that can solve the problem with IT, not knowing if you are
Yes.
the real user or you're
Yeah.
a fake identity.
Yeah, we had this for help desk to
Yeah.
be able to challenge with a specific factor, both in Duo and in Okta, through Cisco Identity Intelligence. We had this for quite some time.
That's critical.
It's critical. The other thing that you mentioned about introducing things into the supply chain, one of the things that we have introduced a long time ago through our GitHub integration is to basically, one of the things that we got a nice check mark that Nico and I were very, very happy about is when we did our build environment attestation for the Cisco verification, we showed that there's a tracking from who put in a request,
Yep.
who checked in the code. There's a direct attestation what authenticator somebody used to authenticate to add something, what authenticator somebody used to attest for this piece of code, who did this, from what location, at what point in time, who approved this, because there's no code that goes in with now double verification. So we can show all these things. And if you don't believe me, just check out the demo of Cisco Identity Intelligence. But this comes back to, this is one part of this. What we decided is to listen to one of our customers, Mark Sutton, the CISO of Bain, and Roman from Major League Baseball, that basically said, yeah, you have these million predictors. Can you give us one score? Are we in the right direction? Or are we going in the wrong direction? And we launched this week, actually a week ago. So, we actually not launched. We will launch this with a cluster of other things. But we released a feature called Posture Score, the Cisco Identity Posture Score, which I, by the way, lovingly call the Duo Score because it's part of the Duo. So if any of the marketing team will listen to this, they'll not like me, but everybody else, call your Duo Score. The idea is to track where are you getting better or are you getting worse in terms of your identity posture, and what are the easy steps to fix. What can you do easily to improve your posture?
What are the attributes you're putting as part of the score?
What we put as part of the score is we have a construct in identity intelligence called checks. There are threats-related checks and there's posture-related checks. Identity-related checks indicate, threat-related checks indicate, are you under attack, are you not under attack? Because your organization needs to match their posture to their threat and
level.
risk, and threat level and risk level. Because if, as some of our customers said, we shouldn't have the same posture when we're in DEFCON 1 that we're in DEFCON 3. So somebody needs
So it's something that the customer chooses, or you check the environment and you suggest to them the level?
Right now, we basically indicate how much under attack they are. If there's a lot of users under heavy attack, if there's a lot of people sharing credentials, if there's a lot of credential leaks, if there's enough push verification challenges, if there's a lot of impossible. This is the risk profile.
Okay. So you have your risk kind of scoring.
And then there's their posture scoring, which is, did they integrate both an MFA factor and the IDP? Did they integrate the productivity suite into the system? Like, did they integrate, so if they use Okta, did they integrate also with Google? So we can see how they're writing documents, or Microsoft in some cases. We can see if they added GitHub and Salesforce, or did they add the HR system? Did they upload information from the HR system? Because we can see through the HR system, do they have dormant accounts, and are those dormant accounts that should actually not be in the system? Because everybody thinks that they're doing joiner, mover, leavers well. Nobody does joiner, mover,
Yeah, you have tons of people that leave and you still have accounts active, and maybe they're being used.
Do they have guest accounts with admin permissions? There's a whole list of these checks that measure where they are in their posture. And we look at their threat level, and we look at their posture level, and we see the matching, and we give them back a score. And this is a very powerful tool because a lot of our customers have been asking us, tell us where we are in the ecosystem compared to everybody else.
Compared to my peers.
Compared to my peers. And the other thing is, give me a tool that I can justify the stuff that I did. So, for example, if I'm in a weak status and I put $5 million into making the status better, like I decide to invest in Duo, not just Microsoft, like I decide to improve my posture. Did it work? Did it not work? Did I improve my score? Did I not improve my score? I can, if I come in after investing $5 million and I've taken the organization from being weak to being good, now
You want to, if I translate it, it's basically a tool for the CISO to come and justify the spend that he did and show the board the ROI that he took the company from having score X up to a score Y because of XYZ that he did with the $5 million investment.
Yes. Or for somebody like at Cisco Live, a lovely lady came to me and Aaron and said, I need to move us from push and verified push to biometric, and I need to show people why.
That's a huge one. I think that's, like we talk about it at Beyond Identity all the time. You cannot have, stealable factors, movable factors. You need to have device-bound, biometric-bound factors. But if you need to kind of like prove it to people why, you need some sort of a measurement that it takes your phishing from that many accounts are phishable, actually clicking on links and the impact of the get through and versus this is how much you reduced
By the way,
phishing.
Alex and I have an equation for this because we're nerds. So we rationalize the move to device bound by 4 factors. One is shared credentials, the ratio of shared credentials in your organizations. If you see that there's a lot of shared credentials with unlinked accounts, you have a problem. Shared credentials means that, hey, I give my admin my phone number and she's able to register.
You basically give your password to somebody else.
No, I can give my factor.
Or your factor.
Most of the time what people do is they do the round trip registration. So basically they call the admin, they give her their phone number, or she gives them the phone number, she registers, and she calls you up and says, hey, give me
Then she can get
code.
the SMS factor.
She can get the
SMS, email factor.
or the email factor, or the push factor. She can...
If she has access to your email, basically, and the second factor is through email, she reads it.
It's not just email. Sometimes it's the phone. Like when you do the enrollment, I can register the phone and say, hey, click this for me once, and since then I have the registered factor.
Yep.
So showing how many shared credentials, problem 1. Problem number 2, how many basically verified push attacks you see in the organization. If you see a lot of verified push and push attacks, that's problem 2.
Do you want to explain to those that are not in the field what verified push attack is?
So, for example, if I need to find the real registered name because we call it MFA flood.
MFA flood, yeah. That's another name.
It's another name for this, but mainly it's I get your password.
From a leak, for example, or you guess it or whatever.
And I try to log in as you. And I trigger push. And I trigger it again and again and again and again. And let's say I do it at 11 o'clock at night. In your case, at 7 o'clock at night when you're asleep. And you'll click OK, because at attempt number 6, 7, 8, you had enough. And you'll just say, you know what, OK. And
basically, I get this, is it you, is it you, can you confirm? Most people ignore it, and then at a certain point, they do.
Yep. And I think that the seeing the number of these attacks,
I mean, sometimes it's even more kind of planned, and somebody may call me and tell me, or I may get a text that, hey, we just sent you a code. Can you just verify it, or can you send it back to me? And all those kind of fraud.
And we can track back those number of elements.
So you track how many multiple pushes to get the MFA.
Yeah. And then there's the number of overall attempts to guess passwords, the password spray, the password stuff, all those things. When you accumulate all those things, it gives you back a very good profile if you need to move to biometric-based devices. If you see that there's
So what did you say was the rule of thumb? Go back to that. If you
Shared-
have shared credentials,
a lot of pushes, a
Yeah.
lot of password stuffing, and you have a big presence in your leadership team. If your VIP levels are more exposed by a factor of 10 more than your original population, that means that you are very present. So, for example, if I'm assuming that the commissioner of baseball, the commissioner of hockey, Goodell from football, they're probably everybody's trying to guess their passwords. I'm assuming that the same thing is true for Satya and Chuck and everybody else. Everybody's trying to guess.
CEO's passwords.
Yes.
Yep.
But if you see that one level down, the people that are less present are under attack, especially CFOs and the finance group.
CFO and finance are under attack all the time.
But if you see this, then you know that your organization is in a different profile, because some organizations have these things and some organizations have less.
Okay.
Then it kind of makes sense for you to invest in your posture and try to attempt.
Why isn't it for anyone to go do it? I mean, we just talked last week, 2 weeks ago with Dima about, why wouldn't you move to, boundless, hardware bound biometrics authentication?
Let's take a look at most organizations. Let's say you go into Newton Wellesley. How many of these devices that you see the admins in Newton Wellesley,
The hospital?
yeah, are ready to support device-bound authentication?
Okay. Yeah. Basically the hardware is not there.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the easiest
And
explanation.
you cannot use people's second device
Yeah.
because of regulation or whatever, or like you will not ask your employees to use their own device.
You might or might not, but it's one of those things that before you want to make a change, you need
I mean, we will get to a point that all device
if
have.
you're a cloud-based startup,
It's not a problem.
it's not a problem.
If you're an organization
you're a
born
if you-
before 2010,
If
it's
you're
different.
if you're a manufacturing organization,
You have a
somewhere-
lot of different endpoints that don't have biometrics on
exactly.
them. Okay.
So you need to understand where you are,
Yep.
and you need to understand, are you using the right tools to solve the right problems? So this has been, I think, our most.
So basically, you can also justify hardware change over time if you're showing that you're under constant attack. That's the direction you need to go, and at least prioritize this set of accounts of users and go with that first, right?
Or you decide, let's say I am Newton Wellesley, but I am under constant attack, and none of my hardware actually supports any of the stuff. Maybe I call YubiKey and get a shitload of those biometric YubiKeys and at least do something, find a mitigation.
Right.
I need to mitigate my world towards my risk factors.
Yeah.
And that's the reality, because there are solutions for the problems. You just first need to know, am I in trouble?
And I think this is the hard part, and it also linked to, the telling the story part. If you don't know how bad things are, I mean, you only know when you are actually popped and there is a public breach and everybody
Yep.
knows. But on the day-to-day, if you don't have this kind of visibility to what's going on, you cannot assess how bad it is, and you cannot assess what is actually the investment you need to put.
Yep. Yes. And the
Yeah.
other thing that rolls into this is also what we call the individual risk score. We rolled out the individual risk score. So it's not, Aaron will call me to yell at me, it's trust score. So how much do we trust? And I don't remember the names, Aaron, sorry about that. You'll have to help me out on this one. We're rolling out, are you trustworthy or not? And that is also an important element. And this is a V1, and it will improve, and it will go into the ecosystem.
Why do you trust human beings?
I don't, especially not you. Especially
So in general, trust the hardware more than human beings as a rule of thumb.
But hardware is also lossable.
Sure.
So
But it's harder to lose your biometrics.
No, not so much. Not so much. Most of the biometrics are actually, this is the thing that everybody believes. Oh, what's your password? It's so secure. Your iris, blah, blah, blah. No, it's some key on the device.
Yeah, of course. Everything can be.
And the hardware
you know.
is vulnerable. Can you say vulnerable? So this is the thing that is this is the thing that most of we think we know the supply chain. I think you mentioned this very, very well. But the supply chain is vulnerable. For example, Android will do biometrics and a million things, but eventually will pop me my PIN code for me to type in my PIN code.
Right.
And it releases the same key that the biometric would.
Right.
So the hardware root of trust, and this is the thing about understanding the systems as a whole, of where are their weaknesses, because
You need to understand the weakest link in the chain.
So for example, if we're talking about the strength of authentication, but we do everything really, really hard, but I don't do any verification. You mentioned the verification. If I don't do a verification and I deploy the phones easily, then I have basically the most locked house with the weakest key. Am I making sense?
Yep, sure.
And that's the part where we need to do the evaluation of trusting and posture and compare the two.
Cool.
What other cool stuff have you guys launched?
So we're really, really talking about how to get rid of this threat of phishing. Really about at this point of, you know, phishing is still the probably most common attack. Phishing, credential theft, all the things we discussed is still the most painful and the most common attack vector. And those organizations that can actually move to hardware-bound, like Beyond Identity and the likes, can almost eliminate this. So yeah, somebody will click on a phishing link because, with all due respect to all the training that we all go through, at the end of the day, will fail. Is it going to be that you'll get this wonderful lady from China texting you something and asking you for a code that you like her looks, and because of that you'll fail, or somebody else will fail because of whatever?
In my case, I will not fail because of the look, because if she'll send me a picture of a beautiful girl, I know for a fact that she's not talking to me. I own the mirror. I looked at it this morning.
Yeah. We really, I mean, we're doing a marketing campaign, which is like all marketing campaigns needs to be bold. So we talk about security guarantees. And of course, our engineers didn't like the fact that we're using guarantees because there are no guarantees in life other than tax and death. But yes, we are aware of it. But if you are actually moving towards, you know, nothing is guarantees, as you said, there is always fallbacks. But, you know, in the common scenario and how common phishing, credential stealing, or all that, and how painful the results is, you need to consider a major elimination of this risk. And a major elimination is by moving to hardware-bound device trust authentication. So this is what a campaign, we call it internally the guarantee campaign. It's a fun campaign that we kind of call to people to come see why we make those promises of eliminating phishing, see for themselves.
I think that this is me going to go in a short tirade on this one. I do think always marketing needs to be more bold than engineering. And this has been...
That's why we fight.
What? No, I believe that in most companies I've worked with, engineering has been more bold
than marketing?
Than marketing.
Yeah.
Definitely in the bigger companies, we feel like we built something and marketing wants to verify to the hilt that when we make a statement, we can back it up.
We're not legal. Like what? It's like all those small disclaimers, only effective in this and this states and only blah, 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 blah. Yes, fine. I mean, when I put an ad on social media platforms and like you see it on X, you see it on Reddit, you see it on, all I need is to catch your attention. It's not, oh my God, I need to be 100% true at every time. Yes, I mean, I'm sure there are some unique phishing methodologies that we don't currently cover, but the reality is you will eliminate most phishing attacks if you have hardware bound, completely enrolled, and all your applications are protected by phish resistance MFA. That's the reality.
Yep.
I mean, we've seen it again and again. Companies tell us, yes, people clicked on a phishing link, but you know what? It went nowhere because the attacker cannot authenticate into the application. So that's fine.
Yep.
Like if you eliminate, I mean, I think I'm saying guarantee in my advertising because I think people want to see and they want to actually come and see and prove me wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm totally fine. I'm totally game with that.
It's the hypothesis from the previous podcast.
Yeah. Prove me wrong. This is why DEF CON is there. Actually, a year ago, there was a group that was trying to prove that you can pop a company through phishing with having biometric bound authentication. And I think they failed, that they couldn't find, a regular phishing way,
Yeah.
not kind of like stealing your device and doing those kind of things. A remote phishing scheme, which is most of the scheme. So, can somebody come steal your device and do? Yes.
Can somebody inject malware because you click and you download the malware? Yes.
There are all those kind of things, I'm sure. But the reality is that most organizations are targeted by a few criminal groups that have the same methodologies. And you know what? The economical model of the attack is that if they don't pop you, they'll pop the next one. So for you, you need to be just better than the next one. They'll move on. Financially, it's not that they're going to invest in going and popping your employee by kind of stealing his device.
Yeah,
That's not going to happen unless you are the CIA and that you really need to protect your agents.
So that's part of the discussion that we're having on our famous posture score is that I call it there's two outrunnings that you do. There's the outrun the tiger and there's outrun you. So the joke, two people go in the woods like me and you, and we see a tiger, or like in our backyard that you saw the wolf.
Coyote.
Wolf. If it's yay high, it's a wolf.
I don't know. It was a big coyote.
It's a wolf.
Whatever.
You see the wolf, and let's say we try to run. One of us can outrun the other, and that's called outrunning you. And the other one is actually outrunning the wolf, the bear, the tiger. And this is one of the things that an organization needs to understand.
Do you need to outrun the wolf, or do you need to outrun me?
Are you outrunning? Are you outrunning the competition, or are you outrunning the wolf? And in most cases, it's good enough to outrun the wolf.
You need to be good enough to prevent the common attackers from popping you. You may not be able to, if there is a targeted Chinese attack, because you are a nation security provider, you need to think about it completely differently. You need to have different layers. You need to have this plus. So for you, there is never a guarantee. You always need to be thinking about the unique Stuxnet that is going to build just to put it on your device, right?
Yes. And we'll go through the world and infect 1 million devices before
that maybe somebody, injected it through a discon key. It wasn't really because an air-gapped system. That's not the common. You're connected to the regular internet and you have regular device and your employees are regular, and what you're doing is, vanilla services similar to other providers. And to keep the livelihood of your organization, all you need to do is to be much, much better than the others, which let the criminals go pop them instead. They'll move. That's the model. Until everyone security posture improves, and then the hacker finds a new way, and we need to adapt. That's why we have job security in the market. We need to invent new stuff to outsmart them. But for now, eliminating the phishing, credential theft, everything that is going on, that improves your posture so much, as we just said. So basically, it's a guarantee. That will improve your life so much you will not need to worry about it. You worry about something else. There are other ways to pop your organization.
Yep. So I'm gonna finalize this with one last release that we released.
Yep.
Which is we released massive improvements to our user linkage capability.
What is user linkage?
User linkage is almost every account that you have. You have service accounts. You have shared accounts. You have a million of these accounts that are not linked to a person. So usually there's your email address at your company, and that's probably your main identity in the company.
Yep.
But you'll see that there's like the account that you use for Salesforce, the account that you use for this.
Admin at Salesforce.
Admin at Salesforce. There's a million of these sub-accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And my philosophy has always been that you need an ass to kick, because you can't fire the Salesforce fake admin. You can't fire the SQL Server admin capability. And a lot of times you need to be able to see who owns the service account. If that person that owns the service
who access it on a regular basis, if there is irregular behavior, somebody else is now access it.
And so we've built a mechanism to do this linkage, and now we improve this significantly by doing bulk linkage, mass linkage. We added secondary email to do this, a lot of nice AI stuff to come with interesting suggestions to how to do the linkage. And the key message that I want to leave the viewers, because I'm looking at the time, is when you do service accounts, always have an ass to kick. Always make sure that you have an ass to kick. Somebody is always to blame. Don't leave things with people that are not being accountable. Does that make sense?
So you need human beings.
You always need human. Yes, there's no machine accounts that is not connected
to a human being that can explain and attest for what's going on.
Exactly.
Okay, good point.
Yes.
Excellent. Awesome. With that, we had a busy summer at work.
We had a busy summer at work.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Well, we're going to have a busy fall with a lot of other things coming up. We'll let you know once more things are coming. Well, with that, the Didi and Lital Show is a weekly podcast. We hope you like it. If you like it, please rate and review and share it with friends. If you want to be on a show, please write to me and Didi on LinkedIn. And until next time, see you.
See you.
Thanks, Didi.
Bye.
Bye.